Have you ever imagined that? Far in the frozen ends of the world, a fiery bird awakens only once in 1,000 years. Legends say it is not merely a creature of wings and flame, but the final light that keeps the world from falling into eternal darkness. Tonight, we step into the tale of an ordinary boy chosen by fate to follow the blazing path of the Firebird of the North. Hello, friends! Tonight, let's listen to a story. Take a deep breath, close your eyes, and let your imagination fly with this tale. In the farthest reaches of the northern lands, where snow never melted and the winds sang their lonely song, lay a small, forgotten village. The people there lived in quiet hardship, their homes half buried beneath the endless blankets of ice. Yet, despite the bitter cold, the villagers still told stories. Stories that warmed the heart better than fire. Among these tales, one was spoken only in hushed tones, passed from elder to child like a fragile ember. The legend of the Firebird of the North. They said that once in every 1,000 years, when the aurora painted the sky with colors too beautiful to name, a radiant bird would descend from the heavens. Its wings were woven of flame and starlight, its cry strong enough to awaken mountains, and its presence alone could banish the darkest night. The Firebird was no mere myth. It was the guardian flame, a promise that light would never fully vanish from the world. In that same village lived a boy named Arvin. His hands were rough from chopping wood, and his days were filled with simple tasks, gathering water from frozen streams, mending roofs cracked by snow, and listening to the weary laughter of his people. But within his chest, Arvin carried something that none of the others could see, a heart that longed for more than the endless winter. He would often climb the highest hill and gaze at the northern sky, his breath forming small clouds in the frozen air. What lies beyond these mountains? He would wonder, what truth hides behind the old stories of fire and light? On one such night, when the aurora shimmered brighter than ever before, Arvin heard it, a distant cry, piercing through the silence. It was unlike anything he had known. Not wolf, not storm, not wind. It was both fierce and beautiful, like fire itself singing. The villagers shivered in fear. Some locked their doors, muttering that the 1,000 years had come, and with it, trials too great to bear. But Arvin felt no fear. Instead, his heart raced with a strange warmth, as though a spark had been kindled inside him. Little did he know, the cry of the Firebird was not merely a song carried on the wind. It was a call meant for him. The following morning, the village awoke to whispers carried on the wind. Strange lights had been seen near the mountains, and the snow bore marks of fire, trails of warmth that should have been impossible in the frozen north. The elders gathered, their faces pale beneath the flickering torches. It begins, one muttered. The Firebird has awakened. Another sighed, though the weight of their words was heavy with fear rather than hope. But in Arvin's chest, the ember glowed brighter. That night, as the village lay in uneasy slumber, he packed a small bundle, a cloak, a flask of water, a piece of bread, and the wooden bowl his father had left him before vanishing into the snow years ago. With quiet steps, he left his home, guided only by the strange warmth that pulsed within his heart. Not long into his journey, Arvin encountered the first trial. A storm of ice swept down from the mountains, its winds sharp as knives. Snow whirled so thick that the path vanished, and the boy's limbs stiffened with cold. Yet, through the blinding storm, he saw it, a faint glow flickering ahead, like a lantern. He staggered toward it and found a white wolf, its fur shimmering like frost under starlight. The creature's eyes glowed pale blue, ancient and knowing. Instead of snarling, the wolf circled him once, then pressed its head gently against his hand. Its warmth surprised him, like a living flame hidden beneath snow. I will not survive this journey alone, Arvin whispered, understanding without words that the wolf had chosen to follow him. Then come, friend, let us face the storm together. With the wolf by his side, whom he named Fenra, Arvin pressed on. Together, they overcame the fury of the blizzard, sheltering one another until the winds calmed. Days passed. They crossed frozen rivers that cracked beneath their steps, climbed cliffs slick with ice, and wandered forests where shadows whispered warnings. Each trial tested Arvin's courage, but the spark in his chest never dimmed. Then came the second trial, in a valley of silence. Arvin found himself surrounded by phantoms made of smoke and shadow. They had no faces, only eyes that burned like coals. Their voices seeped into his mind. Turn back, child of frost. You are nothing. You cannot bear the flame for a moment. Doubt sank its claws into him. What if they were right? He was no hero, no warrior, only a boy from a forgotten village. But then he felt Fenra's head press against his leg, grounding him, reminding him that he was not alone. With trembling hands, Arvin raised his father's bow, stringing a single arrow. He closed his eyes, letting the ember in his heart guide him. When he released, the arrow ignited mid-flight, bursting into fire that tore through the shadows. The phantoms shrieked and scattered, retreating into the frozen earth. And in their place, the valley bloomed with faint sparks, tiny flowers of light shimmering in the snow. Exhausted but unbroken, Arvin realized something profound. The fire within him was not borrowed, it was his own. At last, after weeks of hardship, Arvin and Fenra reached the summit of the tallest mountain in the northern world. The air was thin, the sky stretched endlessly, painted with rivers of green and violet aurora. And there, at the very edge of the peak, a gate of flame unfurled, like the dawn itself. From it emerged the Firebird. It was more magnificent than the legends could ever describe. Wings vast enough to embrace the horizon, feathers blazing with hues of gold and crimson, eyes that burned like twin suns, yet carried sorrow as old as the stars. With a single beat of its wings, the mountain trembled, and the cold itself seemed to retreat. Arvin fell to his knees, overwhelmed, but the Firebird's voice entered his heart, a resonance both gentle and commanding. Child of frost, you have come far. Tell me, why do you seek the flame? Do you crave its power or its glory? Arvin's throat tightened. For a moment, he was that same boy who once wondered at the sky, small and uncertain. But then he remembered the village, the elders' fear, the cold that stole laughter from children's lips. He placed a hand over his chest, where the ember still glowed. I do not seek power, he said, his voice trembling but steady. I seek to keep the flame alive. So long as this light burns, our world will never fall into endless dark. If I must carry it, I will. Not for myself, but for all. The Firebird studied him, its gaze like fire piercing through his soul. Then, it lowered its head and released a single feather of flame, which drifted gently into Arvin's chest. In that instant, warmth surged through him, neither burning nor scalding, but filling him with life. Behind him, the mountain quaked. The final trial revealed itself. From the shadows of the abyss, a colossal wraith emerged, a being woven of smoke and night. The eternal darkness, its roar shattered stone, and its claws reached to snuff out the flame. Fenra stood guard, her fur glowing with frostlight. But even she could not face the monster alone. Arvin's heart pounded. He could flee, as the shadows urged him before, or he could trust the fire within. With trembling arms, he unfurled wings of fire that burst from his back. Wings not of the Firebird's, but his own. Born from courage and truth, he rose into the stormy air, bow in hand, its arrow now a spear of pure light. Not while I breathe, he cried, and soared straight into the darkness. The The battle shook the heavens. Each beat of his fiery wings scattered shadows, while each strike of the wraith threatened to smother the flame. Yet Arven did not falter. With Fenra's howl echoing across the peaks and the Firebird's power burning within him, he loosed his final arrow. The arrow struck the wraith's heart. Light exploded across the sky, brighter than any aurora, shattering the darkness into 1,000 falling stars. Silence followed, not of emptiness, but of peace. When the light faded, the Firebird stood before Arven once more. Its wings folded gently, and its voice carried warmth. You have faced the storm, the shadow, and yourself. The flame is no longer mine alone. It is yours, Keeper of the North. The bird dissolved into radiant sparks, merging with the aurora until it became one with the heavens. Arven stood upon the summit, the feather of fire now a glowing pendant against his chest. Fenra pressed her muzzle to his hand, her blue eyes proud. The boy looked up, and for the first time, the stars seemed not distant, but near, as if they, too, acknowledged his light. From that night onward, stories were told anew of a boy who carried the Firebird's gift, who turned the bitter cold into a beacon of warmth. And though the world would still know winters and shadows, there would always be one truth. As long as the flame lived within him, the darkness would never reign.